Hello and welcome back. We were discussing the first prose unit, the heavenly parasol, in the last class. Now we will continue discussing the exercise part of the lesson. We will look at some of the questions and we will see how to answer those questions. So I hope that you have your textbook ready in front of you, also pen and paper to make notes. Comprehension basically is a section where these questions are designed to test your understanding of the concepts, the lesson itself. Now, the first question under the comprehension part is, what was the name of the beautiful princess of Pragjyotisha? And the answer is, the name of the beautiful princess of Pragjyotisha was Amrita Prabha. So when you answer to 1 mark questions, which actually can be answered in just a word or a short phrase, I suggest that you write at least one full sentence. So instead of just writing the answer as Amrita Prabha, you write it as, the name of the beautiful princess of Pragjyotisha was Amrita Prabha. Next question, what was arranged for her when she attained the age of marriage? So the answer to that would be, a Swayamvara was arranged for her when she attained the age of marriage. So once again, this is how you answer it in full sentence. Instead of just writing Swayamvara, you write it as, Swayamvara was arranged for her when she attained the age of marriage. Who was Meghavana? Meghavana was the great grandson of the king of Kashmir. He was a prince. Why did the priest cry out in surprise? Because the priest saw the parasol of Lord Varuna casting its shadow over Meghavahana's head. That is why he cried out in surprise. What was the uniqueness of the parasol? The uniqueness, what is uniqueness? The meaning of the word uniqueness means something very special about it, uniqueness. So what was that specialty of that parasol that belonged to Lord Varuna? The specialty, the uniqueness of that parasol was that it cast its shadow over none other than a sovereign of the world. That means it did not go to just anybody. It would only go to somebody who was supreme in character, in his dignity, in bravery, and all the great qualities, and who had the capacity, the ability to rule the whole world, yes, be the sovereign of the world. And that was the uniqueness of the parasol that belonged to Lord Varuna. Next question, why did the ministers of the Kashmir court make an offer to Meghavahana to be their king? So as he returns from the Swayamvara, the ministers approached him, the ministers of Kashmir kingdom approached him and they asked him to become their king. Why did they do that? It's because they were dissatisfied with their present ruler. Because their present ruler, their present king, was not taking care of them and the people, yes, and the subjects of the kingdom. He spent a lot of time in his personal ritualistic practices and he neglected the affairs of the kingdom. Yes, a king has a responsibility. He has to administrate the entire kingdom. He was not doing that. So they were dissatisfied with their present ruler, and that is why they made an offer to Meghavahana to be their king. That's the answer to that question. Next question, what was the law imposed by Meghavahana in his kingdom? So what was the law? The law was, nobody will harm a living being, nobody would kill a living being in his kingdom. That was the law. So it was a simple law. So nobody is going to hurt any animal or bird or person, any living being. And he implemented that law in his kingdom. Why did Meghavahana want to conquer the island of Lanka? So why did he want to expand his kingdom as far as Lanka? Especially, why was he interested in Lanka? Because Lanka was the land of demons, and demons they are violent beings, you know, they are very violent, they engage themselves in killings and brutality. That's why they are demons. And they did not know the ways of civilized society. He wanted to teach them how to live like a civilized society. He wanted to implement that law that prohibited killing of living beings, and in Lanka as well. That is why he wanted to conquer Lanka. Why did the barbarian want to kill an innocent man? Before that, there is another question. I think I skipped that. What did Meghavahana witness in the middle of the wood? What did Meghavahana see in the middle of that forest area? What did he see there? He heard a plaintive call, somebody crying for help. He rushed in that direction, and he came to a place in the middle of that forest where he saw a temple of Chandika or Durga. And on the steps of that temple, what was going on? A human sacrifice was going on. A human sacrifice was in progress. A barbarian, a menacing looking barbarian was brandishing his sword, and he was about to kill a man who was begging for mercy. That's what he witnessed. Witnessing means seeing. Right, now we go to that next question, which is, why did the barbarian want to kill an innocent man? So when Meghavahana asks the barbarian to stop what he was doing, the barbarian explains to him why he was conducting that human sacrifice. He said that his baby son was taken ill. He was suffering from some kind of disease, and no medicine was helping that boy to recover from that illness. So he decided to please Goddess Chandika by making that human sacrifice. So he said that if he conducted that sacrifice, the gods would be happy, and they would save his son. And if he did not do that, what would happen? The boy would die, and if the boy died, the rest of the barbarians, without a future leader, they would commit suicide as well. That is why he was conducting the human sacrifice. That is why he was killing that innocent man. How did Meghavahana rescue both the victim and the barbarian's son? So after thinking about different options, Meghavahana saw that there was only one way he could save both the barbarian's son and that innocent man, and that was by offering himself up as sacrificial animal. So he said, kill me instead of that innocent man. That way both that man and your son would be able to live. So that is how he saved the two lives. That is how he was trying to save the two lives. What happened when Meghavahana was about to strike himself? So yes, he says, I will kill myself if you cannot muster the courage to use your sword on my head. I will do that myself. And saying that, he lifted his sword and he was about to slash his head. He was about to kill himself. What happened then? Suddenly, somebody held his hand back, and he turned around to see that it was Lord Varuna himself who was standing behind him. And there was a shower of flowers, exquisite, beautiful shower of flowers upon his head. That's what happened when he was about to strike himself. Okay, now you see that these questions are very simple and very easy to answer. However, you should try to come up your own questions from this lesson. Do not only practice what is given at the end of the lesson. Do not only practice the preset questions. These are called preset questions. These are only for some understanding and checking what you have understood. But they are just a few of them. You can come up with a variety of questions from the lesson. So if you practice creating your own questions and then answering them, maybe you can send those questions to your friends and ask them to answer those questions. Or you can ask your friends to send you some of their own questions based on the lesson, that is, and you can answer them as well. That is the right way of practicing questions and answers. Do not only stick to these preset questions given at the end of the lesson, and that is applicable not only to this lesson, not only to this subject, but all subjects and all lessons in them. right? Okay, now these were short answer type questions, right? You answered them in a word, you answered them in a sentence, you answered them in 2 or 3 sentences. But the next 2 questions are descriptive answer type questions. So that means you will be writing 1 or 2 paragraphs, right, as answers to them. So the heading says answer the following in about 150 to 200 words. So about 70 to 80 words makes a paragraph. So you see, it's either going to be a long paragraph or it will be 2 paragraphs of answer. So what are these questions? Describe the incident of how Meghavahana got the heavenly parasol. So you have to narrate the whole incident where Meghavahana attended this Swayamvara and Amritaprabha chose him as a consort or husband, and then they went to seek blessings of the king, and suddenly the heavenly parasol appeared over his head and he brought it back home. So those are the key pointers. Yes, he attending the Swayamvara, Amritaprabha choosing him, and then the heavenly parasol appearing over his head when they were about to seek blessings of the king, and he brought both the bride and the parasol back home. So connect your sentences with additional information around, like how the priest cried out in surprise, what the king said about the parasol, yes, what the priest said about the parasol, the uniqueness of the parasol, describe the parasol. You can also talk a little bit more about the Swayamvara, how Amritaprabha walked around shyly, casting her eyes upon all these illustrious suitors who had come to, with the hope that she would choose them, and how she chose Meghavahana. So when you have a descriptive answer type question, even though the points will be 2 or 3 or 4, you have to add a little bit of details there, tiny details or more information. Of course, everything has to be related to that lesson. You cannot say something that is not there. So you will get those details, other details, if you read the paragraphs in the lesson, right? And I suggest, do not refer to ready-made answers from digest or somebody else's notes, because doing that is something that is not going to help you in the long run. Okay, maybe it will meet your requirements for the present moment, but it will not help you in the long run. So practice your own answers, and it's an interesting task actually. So maybe initially you will struggle to come up with good sentences, but then you will get it. You will get it very soon if you keep trying. So these 2 questions are important because they are descriptive answer type questions. So first one was about how he got the parasol, and the second one is how did Varuna, the lord of the seas, test Meghavahana's nobility of mind. How did Varuna, the lord of the seas, test Meghavahana's greatness of mind? How did he test his greatness? How did he test the strength of Meghavahana's character? Now we know already that the whole thing that Meghavahana saw in the middle of the forest, is that human sacrifice that he saw was going on, was not real. It was just an illusion created by Lord Varuna. And why he created that? To just see how strong the Meghavahana's character was. Was he really as good as people talked about him? So you have to narrate the whole incident, how Meghavahana was on an expedition on the sea shore, and then how he was relaxing there along with his army, and how he heard the plaintive call, and how he rushed into the forest alone, and what he saw there, and how he reacted to that, and what conclusion he came to save the 2 lives, and how he was ready to strike himself in the end, and how Varuna came and stopped him, and he said that it's just an illusion I created to test the nobility of your mind. So this again will be 2 or 3 paragraphs, yes, 150 to 200 words. I suggest that you count the words when you write the answer, but always stay tuned to the points, okay? Don't deviate from what is given in the lesson. Based on that, you can write and come up with your own a good answer, a strong answer. So if you have written answers after this video, of course, to these 2 questions, you can send them to me over WhatsApp. I will have a look at them, and if there is something missing, I can always share some feedback for you, and you can practice that again and then correct the mistakes, right? Alright, now in the language activity, there is a small exercise wherein you have to fill in the blank. Okay, we will go through that as well, and I will explain in brief how these blanks are filled and why we choose certain words and why we don't choose the others. Okay, let's see. Fill in the blanks with appropriate prepositions. So all these 10 sentences have blanks, okay, and in these blanks you will fill only the prepositions, and prepositions are given in the brackets. So you choose the one that fits there. Okay, it should fit grammatically as well as it should complement the meaning. Okay, so keeping those two things, we will decide which prepositions will go into which blank. First one, due to heavy rainfall, the huge tree fell blank, and unfortunately Shamu was caught blank the tree. Okay, so the two blanks and your options into brackets are under, down and below. So due to a heavy rainfall, the huge tree fell. You cannot say fell under, you cannot say fell below. So the perfect preposition there is down. The huge tree fell down, and unfortunately Shamu was caught under the tree. Below we have already used, so we will not use below again. And under sounds perfect there, as Shamu was caught under the tree. So that means the tree fell over him and he was caught under it. Next one is, there is a roof above us or over us. Okay, now above us is something like it's right over your head and only it doesn't cover the space above you, it just covers the size of your head. Okay, if the roof that we're talking about, if it was only the size of my head, then I would say it's above my head. But the roof is everywhere, right? It's everywhere in the room, in the hall. So then I would say it's over me. That's the difference between above and over. We will discuss these prepositions with more examples in further classes. Prepositions, the interesting things about prepositions is they are based on usage. Of course, there are some definitions, of course, there are some rules to keep to, but prepositions usually go by the usage pattern. So you have to pay attention to how the usage is done, and if you can remember that, then you will never have any problem using prepositions the right way. Okay, there we use over. Next, I bought a gift to my brother for my brother. Okay, if you say I bought a gift to my brother, that means the gift was maybe not for him, for somebody else. So I just brought it to him. Maybe I wanted him to keep it for some time, so that when I was leaving to give it to the person whom it belonged to, I will take it from him. So bringing the gift to somebody doesn't mean that the gift belongs to them. But if you say for, then the gift was for that person. So I bought a gift for my brother means I purchased that gift for my brother and I gave it to him. So for would be the right preposition then. Then Sheetal took leave of her office from her office. Okay, now take leave of is commonly used, okay, but that has a different meaning. So you will say that Sheetal took leave from her office. Take leave of is a different phrase and it has a different meaning. I don't want to confuse you with that. So here, taking leave from office means that she didn't go to work on that day. Sheetal took leave from her office. Then they climbed blank the stairs, went blank the terrace to have a view of the star-studded sky. And there are three given in the options, that is on, up and above. So let's see, they climbed on the stairs, above the stairs, doesn't sound right. So you say they climbed up the stairs. They climbed up the stairs, went on the terrace to have a view of the star-studded sky. So they went on the terrace. First they climbed up the stairs and then they went on the terrace and they saw the sky. It was star-studded. There were so many stars visible at the night. that's what it means. I have to go to a meeting blank 12:30 p.m. So when we have a time reference like this, 12:30, 8 in the morning, or 10:30 p.m. etc., we use at there. So I have to go to a meeting at 12:30 p.m. I cried, help, help, when the boy fell, blank the well. So the boy fell, blank the well. So falling here, we don't say fall down, here we say fall into. The tree fell down, that was okay, but you cannot say that the boy fell down the well, he actually went into the well. So we say the boy fell into the well. Then Shika travels blank Chandigarh blank Delhi every week. So the options given here are on, from and to. So we are talking about traveling to places or traveling back from places. So there is no need to use the preposition on here. So our two good options would be to and from. So Shika travels to Chandigarh from Delhi every week. That's how you say it. She travels to Chandigarh from Delhi every week. Ninth one is, my sister's wedding is blank Hotel Taj blank Mumbai. And your options are in, on, at. Okay. So when we talk about places and times, normally we use in, at, on, depending on the context, depending on the situation. So they have given in, on, at, all the three of them. So what do you choose here? My sister's wedding is at Hotel Taj in Mumbai, because Hotel Taj is a location in the city of Mumbai, right? So it is a smaller unit located in a larger unit. So in that context, we use at and in. Next, Shashank took an express bus to Mysuru, which goes blank Mandya. By Mandya, through Mandya. Okay, now if you use through Mandya, that means it travels through Mandya. I mean, it enters the city and passes through the city and exits the city at the other end. That's what through means. And by means it touches the city, yes, it goes near the city and then it continues its journey. Now which one should we use here? Well, if you are really referring to a particular bus that particularly goes through the city, yes, and exits the city at the other end, then through would be very suitable. But you see, you don't have to do that, because buses, yes, they don't have to always go through the city, because bus stations or railway stations can be located at the edge of the city. So saying through gives actually a forceful meaning to that sentence there, and normally we don't do that. So we say Shashank took an express bus to Mysuru, which goes by Mandya, because also it's an express bus, and express buses don't waste time going through the cities. So it goes by Mandya, means it touches Mandya location, and then people get down there and people board the bus, those who want to, and the bus continues its journey. So by Mandya would be appropriate. Now we can give a lot of application related meanings to these prepositions that might actually confuse you, but that is the only way to learn them. We have to learn them by paying attention to usage. It doesn't mean that the same preposition would be used in a similar context. No, context might be similar but not exactly the same. So if the context changes a little bit, then we will be choosing some other preposition there. So the world of prepositions is vast in English, and learning them is also very important. So that was fill in the blanks with appropriate prepositions. So we did these two exercises today, that is questions and answers, and then some part of grammar also that covered the prepositions in short. I want you to practice these two. Give them your full attention and learn them. If they are not clear to you, then you can ask your friends, or you can ask me over WhatsApp, and then get all those clarifications that you need. Get them before you get confused even more. Okay? And this is a simple exercise, and I want you to learn it without any doubts in your mind.